this meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 2 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Industry, Science and Technology. Today's meeting is taking place in a hybrid format pursuant to the House Order of September 23, 2020. The proceedings will be made available via the House of Commons website.
So you are aware, the webcast will always show the person speaking rather than the entirety to the committee. To ensure an orderly meeting,
Am I muted? Oh. My apologies, there seems to be a little technical difficulty. Can everyone hear me now? Okay. To ensure an orderly meeting, I would like to outline a few rules to follow. Members and witnesses may speak in the official language of their choice. Interpretation services are available. Ah oui? Okay. Is that better? Est-ce que c'est mieux? Je vais juste vérifier si on a la traduction.
I want to make sure that we have translation.
Okay, I'm on mute. Okay, I'm on mute on the computer. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, on va essayer encore.
Let's try again. Thanks a lot.
Again, members may speak in the official language of their choice. Interpretation services are available for this meeting. You have the choice at the bottom of your screen of either floor, English, or French. For members participating in person, proceed as you usually would when the committee is meeting in person in a committee room. Keep in mind the directives from the Board of Internal Economy regarding masking and health protocols. Before speaking, please wait until I recognize you by name. If you are on the video conference,
so we're all clear,
please click on the microphone icon to unmute. Those in the room, your microphone will be controlled as normal by the proceedings and verification officer.
Sorry, Ms. Rominato.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, we're not getting the sound through the Zoom application. I'm going to ask at this point if you could please suspend, and we'll regulate this sound issue.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to suspend for a few moments. Thank you. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Again, when you are not speaking, I ask that your mic be on mute or your microphone in the room turned off. With regard to the speaking list, I have the list and I will make sure to give you the prompt when you are up next. As is my normal practice, I will hold up a yellow card for when you have 30 seconds remaining in your intervention, and I will hold up a red card for when the time for your intervention is over. Now, just before we get to our witnesses, we have some small committee business item that we need to dispose of. Members should have a copy of the first report of the subcommittee on agenda and procedure. If we could have that quickly adopted, what we can do now is we can then go to proceed to today's witnesses. So do I have agreement for the adoption of the subcommittee on agenda, procedure, and for the standing committee on INDU? Perfect. Thank you. Adopted. Pursuant to Standing Orders 110 and 111, the committee is meeting today to consider the Order in Council appointment of Lisa Campbell to the position of President of the Canadian Space Agency, referred to the committee on Friday, October 2nd, as well as the Order in Council appointment of Marcia Walden to the position of President of the Canadian Tourism Commission, referred to the committee on Friday, September 25th. With that, I will now invite Mrs. Campbell to present. You have up to 7 minutes, after which what we will do is we will have our second witness present, Ms. Walden, and then we will go to our rounds of questions. With that, I turn the mic to Ms. Campbell. You have the floor for up to 7 minutes.
Thank you very much. Just checking you can hear me well enough. Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you virtually. I hope that each of you and your families are doing well. I joined the Canadian Space Agency, or CSA, in September of this year. A lawyer by profession for almost the past 3 decades, I've worked in both the public and private sectors, and I've got experience in the areas of competition enforcement, data regulation, and procurement, among others. I'm joined today by my colleagues, Luc Brûlé, Vice President, Science and Technology, and Mary Preville, Acting Vice President, Space Program Policy. If you'll bear with me, I'll just change the language for the interpreters.
The CSA has accomplished extraordinary things, and we believe that the space sector can contribute enormously to Canada's economic renewal during these unprecedented times.
The CSA's work focuses on 3 areas. First, and perhaps most visible, our activities in space exploration. We lead Canada's participation on the International Space Station, the Canadian Astronaut Program, and scientific missions to explore our solar system. Secondly, and a growing area of investment and interest worldwide, is the rich data from Earth observation satellites that help us understand our planet, how to manage our natural resources, and more. Increasingly, we can maximize high-quality space data to serve and protect Canadians, spur innovation and economic development. The speed of commercial satellite deployment, implementation of faster communication technologies, and onset of interplanetary missions are augmenting the role of data in space industries. Our RadarSat constellation mission is part of this trend. It's 3 satellite configuration providing data for climate research, security, and commercial applications. Unlocking the power of this data is vital to Canada's competitiveness globally. Thirdly, we work to support science and technology in a multitude of areas, including optics, health, robotics, satellite communications, and radar. We're growing this innovative sector in Canada and preparing for new missions. In 2019, the government launched a new space strategy for Canada, Exploration, Imagination, Innovation. With the brilliant CSA team, we're advancing the space program in Canada and internationally, positioning our domestic space industry for success. The return on investment in space is massive, and it's a growth sector. In the next 20 years, the global space economy will nearly triple in size, reaching $1 trillion. At the CSA, we're committed to positioning Canadian researchers, entrepreneurs, and investors to seize their share of this new emerging global market. We want to help them contribute to the global economic recovery while continuing to secure socioeconomic benefits here at home. In recent months, We've been doing extensive outreach with industry, academia, and international counterparts. We've participated in international conferences of the G20 space community and the International Astronautical Congress. Like the rest of the world, we're gearing up for exciting missions to the moon and beyond. We're proud to have secured Canada's participation in the next large-scale international space collaboration, the Lunar Gateway Program, contributing our Canadarm3. We're also among 8 nations to sign the Artemis Accords a few weeks ago, which we believe will help create a transparent environment for space exploration, science, and commercial space activities. We're continuing to support cutting-edge space exploration technologies such as artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, health, and more, which will be demonstrated on future missions to the lunar surface. These investments have allowed Canada to play critical roles on internationally led missions, such as OSIRIS-REx, which some of you may have seen in the news recently. We just collected a sample from the surface of an asteroid. Canada's crucial contribution was recognized worldwide, our expertise ensuring the success of the mission. In a country as vast as ours, observing Earth from space helps us support Canadians, exercise sovereignty, and manage our natural resources. Advances in machine learning, big data analytics, and data integration techniques are revolutionizing the field of Earth observation at a time when there is more demand for detailed information about our planet.
We're daring to imagine a future where Canadians across the country, from any sector, have unlimited access to easy-to-use digital platforms. Where data is turned into transformation to, for example, issue advance warning for air quality and disaster management. Where cities can plan greener infrastructure projects more efficiently. Where regulators or industry can detect infrastructure failures. Where farmers can visualize crop conditions and crop yields, predicting market pricing, and perhaps leading to better management for anticipated transportation bottlenecks.
Today, we have elements of this vision in place. Our experience with the RadarSat program, which today is capturing 250,000 radar images of the Earth, means we have a great base upon which to grow. We'll equip Canada with the data and analytical tools needed for the future. Like sectors across the planet, the space sector has been impacted by COVID-19 and the measures needed to contain the pandemic. We've reprioritized some of our activities and funding to ensure that industry and academia can continue to innovate and seize opportunities. Since March, we've doubled short-term financial investments in our science and technology programs, representing an increase of $25 million over existing plans pre-pandemic and a total investment of $52 million over the next 2 years. These efforts will benefit up to 90 projects in large, medium, and small companies, as well as 12 universities from coast to coast to coast. It'll advance promising space technologies, support R&D, and the development of innovative concepts, helping develop talent and positioning the sector for success. Space exploration and technology are at the epicenter of scientific development. Among the many motivations for space exploration, advancing scientific knowledge and an understanding is increasingly crucial for our society. Intrinsic value flows from it, and space science is a rich avenue because of the challenges it poses, forcing us to look up and out in completely novel ways. Increasing access to space innovation and research, with the new environments and situations, the vast unknowns that space offers, stress tests our systems and beliefs. Improvements in science inevitably leads to progress in other areas, and as we start employing them wherever science gets used, it generates public good, creates new industries. I'm seeing the red sign. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Through space exploration, we better understand ourselves, our planet, and our universe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Campbell. And with that, we will now move to Ms. Walden. And just so you know, you do not need to switch the language anymore with the latest version of Zoom. You can just keep it on interpretation or whatever language you're speaking. If you're going back and forth, keep it on floor, and then you can just go whatever language, but please pause between the switchover for our translation. Thank you. With that, Madam Walden, you have the floor for up to 7 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Thank you for inviting me to speak with the committee today. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining you from the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples today, the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam nations. I'll be providing today's remarks primarily in English, while also sharing a few in French. Le français, c'est
French will be my second language. As part of my appointment, I have committed to focusing and improving upon my French skills. It's a commitment that I take very seriously. Both official languages are spoken widely throughout the organization. I'm exceptionally proud of the team, 35% of whom are bilingual.
years so far, serving the tourism sector, first at a provincial level and now federally. Never has our country or the world faced such a dire situation across a sector which employs 1 in 10 Canadians, or 1.9 million people in all corners of our country, contributing $44 billion in annual GDP. While I recognize that my invitation today is to introduce myself and to address my recent appointment as Destination Canada's President and CEO, I feel it is important that I share some of the background on our sector as a whole, because it's why, in part, I chose to serve this sector and what compelled me to apply for this position. My career spans executive leadership roles in strategy and organizational renewal, marketing and communications, corporate social responsibility, operations management, and business innovation. I've worked with enterprises in many of Canada's flagship industries, but I found my true calling in tourism. I joined Destination British Columbia as president and CEO in 2013, which at that time was a newly formed provincial crown corporation. I led groundbreaking strategies for tourism development and nationally recognized data-driven performance marketing programs. These efforts were done very much in collaboration with Destination Canada, as well as our provincial, regional, and city partners, all of us part of Team Canada in the tourism space. Quand Destination Canada
When the position of President and CEO came up at Destination Canada, I was compelled to put my name forward, knowing the challenges that lie ahead for the sector. But I would say an even greater motivator are the opportunities at hand.
I believe that tourism improves the quality of life for all Canadians. It supports the restaurants and entertainment we enjoy, the art galleries and museums we visit, the festivals and aquariums we take our kids to, and a huge diversity of local jobs that cannot be exported. From hotel workers to helicopter pilots, tourism is Canada's biggest employer of young people and women. And right now, the sector is at risk of losing more than half of the jobs in our visitor economy. After 5 years of growth and poised for a decade more of strong growth, we are now forecasting that the sector will not recover to 2019 levels until 2024. Tourism revenues are uniquely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The summer season represents the core revenue generator for the industry, and it was devastated. And the impacts are far-reaching. Consider wonderful events in our social sphere, such as the Calgary Stampede, the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal, the Sunrise Festival in Inuvik, and so many others that have been canceled. Consider the wider set of sectors that are integral to tourism, including airlines, cruises, and hospitality. Those are largely closed or operating at huge losses. These sectors fuel the florist, the farmer, the fisher, and the festival goer. Tourism creates a ripple of economic, sociocultural, and environmental benefits in communities big and small all across our nation. Since the onset of the pandemic, the work at Destination Canada has evolved very quickly. Normally, it is our role to focus primarily on the export side of tourism's service economy, to lead international marketing, to drive demand, and to provide research for industry and government intelligence. We immediately realized that recovery would begin at a very hyperlocal level, and we made $30 million available for domestic marketing by providing funds to our provincial and territorial partners who matched it dollar for dollar to maintain our presence and support of local communities. Nous avons également
We also changed our national orientation by working with our partners. We know that in 2019, Canadian travelers injected $40 billion abroad. Our current environment presents a huge opportunity to capture what is typically taken offshore.
supply our industry and our government with timely data and forecasts to support their decision-making and policy-making. Internationally, we are now focused on maintaining our key account relationships to ensure that Canada remains top of mind in our supply chain when international travel can safely resume. For tourism, recovery presents a national challenge that calls for deep collaboration at all levels of industry and government to fully realize and regain its future potential. Today, we can reimagine our industry to be a more competitive sector in future, one that can be an even more powerful force for good for communities and people across our nation. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will start our rounds of questions. We'll start with the first round. And our first MP to go is MP Baldinelli. You have the floor for 6 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to say thank you to the witness and congratulate her on her appointment as President and CEO of Destination Canada. You're assuming this position at a critical time for our travel and tourism sector. I had the pleasure to review the state of the industry report, and within it were some staggering numbers, to say the least. You're indicating if the border remains closed until the end of 2020, you're forecasting a 61% drop in tourism revenues. In my own community of Niagara Falls, that's about 70%. And again, you're forecasting we shouldn't recover till 2024 from the high in 2019. Your report is specific in stating that would be catastrophic loss for our economy, and those are your organization's own words. We've lost about 354,000 jobs. Stats Canada says we could be losing up to 500,000 by the end of the year. And your report is saying, again, your own words, without significant intervention, more jobs will be lost. Ms. Walden, I was wanting to know, has Destination Canada, your organization working with the federal government, have they reached out to you to consult with you on the development of a sector-specific tourism recovery plan?
Thank you for your question. Yes, we've been developing strategies throughout the period of what we call immediate response and relief, and looking forward to the recovery and resilience phases of reigniting our sector. We've been providing a lot of research and sector intelligence, as I mentioned, to support the decisions and policy making of ISED and our ministerial colleagues, and working very closely with our board to develop strategies that will enable our sector to recover most quickly. So in short, I would say we're working very closely to help support policy making that is really tourism specific and helping to drive decisions that will enable recovery.
Again, going back to your report, it indicates we need to provide a light at the end of the tunnel. This November to March are some of the lowest in terms of overall visitation, with many businesses are facing decisions whether to stay open or not. It seems to be a call for action from the federal government to take specific actions for this sector, and we've been asking since March. So I would like to know from you, do we need a sector-specific tourism recovery plan?
I think like all sectors, we're currently working on specific initiatives that will enable tourism here domestically and internationally. It's Destination Canada's role to ensure that we have strategies that address all market conditions, and certainly the current ones are extremely challenging, but we definitely have a plan of action to take us into the recovery, and we are working closely with government to ensure that we're aligned in how we do that.
Thank you. The majority of stakeholders I'm speaking with, they're saying if we're to chart a path forward, we need to begin implementing and adopting rapid testing as a critical tool to help us achieve this tourism recovery. Do you agree?
I think that most elements in our sector are looking for innovative solutions to try to reopen the borders in the safest possible way. And where there are opportunities for testing different approaches, I believe the health authorities and government are examining all of those. We would not specifically become involved in any of that type of policy making, but I'm encouraged to see that our sector is proposing innovative solutions to government that are being considered.
Now, in your remarks, you had mentioned about the role of Destination Canada, and you had started in August about the $30 million fund working with the provincial and territorial destination marketing boards, which is great, and it's a start. You're also saying that you're going to be targeting that $40 billion that had been previously spent abroad by Canadians to kind of stay home. That's why I was kind of surprised when I was looking at the supplementary B estimates for 2021 and noticed that no new money was committed by the federal government to the Canadian Tourism Commission, which is now known as Destination Canada. And what is your reaction to that?
We work with the appropriations that we are provided, and we make the best possible use of those in the markets where we feel there's the most opportunity. At this time, we do not have any insight into changes to our budget, and we feel that we can do good work with the appropriation that we have.
Well, I mean, what kind of signal for incoming relief and recovery efforts, however, does that send when tourism businesses and workers are looking for a sign from the government that in terms of this organization, it's not committing additional funds? I come from a community that has 40,000 tourism employees. They no longer want the Canada Recovery Benefit. They want to go back to work. I have 4,000 casino employees alone that have been off work since March. So what is that path forward, and how best can Destination Canada help?
Well, these are policy decisions that Destination Canada has an opportunity to contribute its thinking toward. We do not make the decisions. However, I know that our many sector associations, which some of whom I believe appeared before this committee earlier, have made representations to government about what they believe is most needed and where funding might be helpful.
There are several stakeholder groups have been advocating and put forward suggestions to the federal government. For example, the Tourism Industry Association of Canada has put forward that the federal government should develop and implement a tourism incentive
unfortunately,
program.
Mr. Bellinelli, that is your time, unfortunately, but she might be able to answer that at the next slot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Molden.
We'll now move to MP Asasi. You have the floor for 6 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Now, I'd like to start off my questioning with Ms. Campbell. First of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't say congratulations, Ms. Campbell, on your appointment a couple of months ago. Given your wealth of experience, I am sure you will do an extraordinary job. Now, since 2015, we've seen the government invest approximately $2.5 billion in CSA. But prior to that, given that you were explaining to us the social and economic benefits, prior to that, we saw CSA suffer cutbacks, laying off of employees. So could you tell me what the impact of those cutbacks prior to 2015 were on the CSA?
Thank you very much for the question. I wasn't there then, but I have heard from people how difficult any cutbacks are. And I will share with you that when we look at our funding over time and you look at the spending happening around the world, it really is a new space economy with governments and the private sector, as you've seen, investing heavily in all sorts of areas: space exploration, low Earth orbit, acquiring sources of data. So Canada needs to position itself to keep up with that, in our view. And that means having sufficient in-house expertise to oversee contracts when we hire services, but also sustaining the pace that we've set for ourselves internationally. Canada really punches above our weight. You know, if we think about some of the tables that we're invited to, I was recently at the International Astronautical Congress, and for a relatively small country, Canada has a great reputation for what we bring to the table. Deep expertise in robotics, artificial intelligence. We're a reliable and trusted partner, and we want to preserve that, not only for the work that we're able to do, but also for our economy. The Canadian space economy generates close to $6 billion a year in revenue, 2.5 in GDP, and employs directly 10,000 people, mostly in STEM jobs, which are, as you know, very high-paying jobs, and then indirectly another 11,000 people. As I mentioned in my remarks, this is a sector of the economy that's expected to grow. We do worry, you know, about spending in the future. If we look at G7 countries, we had been around the middle of the pack and now we're towards the bottom. So it is something that I hear a lot about from the very dedicated people who work at the agency. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, could I ask you about the Artemis Accords? You referenced it in your opening remarks. And I was wondering if you could tell us what led to that accord, and we are one of the charter signatories of that accord. So what is the significance of that domestically and on the global stage?
Thank you very much. Yes, we announced that at the International Astronautical Congress that I participated in. We announced our signature. There are a common set of principles led by the US and developed in consultation with Artemis Accord partners, designed to guide the exploration and use of outer space in a safe and sustainable manner, and in accordance with our international treaty obligations. They're a political commitment to safe and sustainable space exploration activities, but more work's going to have to be done, as I mentioned when we signed them, within the UN structure to ensure space exploration and use continues to be for the benefit and interest of all humankind. We worked with the United States very closely on these to ensure that the Artemis Accords reinforce the principles of the core space treaties, in particular the Outer Space Treaty, and provided guidelines for safe and sustainable space exploration and activities and operations. Right now, if you look at our website, we're consulting with Canadians. We want their views. A lot of the existing treaties were developed in the 60s and 70s when much of the activities we're engaging now couldn't even have been conceived of. So we hope to get their feedback as we continue to work with the partners on what is the right long-term framework to shape our activities. Thank you.
Thank you. And my last question, could you just explain to us and elaborate how the 2019 National Space Agency strategy is informing the work that you're doing and that the CSA is doing?
Thanks very much. It's got 5 goals and 18 objectives. It's really to help ensure that Canada remains a leading spacefaring nation by joining the Lunar Gateway mission, which I talked about, a very exciting project that is the next iteration or evolution from the International Space Station. It also is designed to help inspire the next generation of Canadians to reach for the stars. We work a lot with students, trying to plan for succession and get people interested in space, not just from an astronaut perspective, but also engineering, lawyers, project managers, IT specialists. We're also working to harness space to solve everyday challenges for Canadians. Lots of direct benefits here on Earth, from health, connectivity, security and sovereignty, enhancing access to nutritious food, managing disasters. We want to position Canada's commercial space sector to help grow the economy and create jobs for the future, and then ensure Canada's leadership in acquiring and using space-based data to support science excellence, innovation, and economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you very much. Notre prochain tour, c'est député Lemire. Vous avez la parole pour 6 minutes.
Mr. Lemire, you have the floor for 6 minutes. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Well, my first question is for Ms. Weldon. First of all, for your efforts in French. It was very much appreciated, and I congratulate you. I want to know your degree of satisfaction with the programs that are in place now. Minister Joly in June said that there would be some 30 million for Quebec and 13 or 5 million for the Atlantic area. Both the Atlantic area, the Maritimes, and Quebec have been very hard hit. Can you tell us a few words about that to say whether or not it covers your concerns, particularly over the summer period, which was so devastating? And also the measures, were they sufficient or not? Excuse me.
Okay, one moment. Else having difficulty with the translation? Miss Walden, are you on the English channel on Zoom? Or are you on interpretation floor?
I am on currently what's called off, which I believed to be the floor.
Okay, so in order to get translation, you'll need to put it on English. Otherwise, you will just get exactly what you're hearing on the floor. So if someone's speaking French, you'll only hear in French. If someone's speaking English, you'll only hear in English. So if you would like the translation from French to English, you must put it on English. And what I'll do is I will restart the clock because Monsieur Lemire's question obviously didn't get translated for you. Donc, Monsieur Lemire, je vais vous recommencer l'horloge pour vous. Merci.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And Ms. Walden, I want to congratulate you for the efforts that you have made in French. It's been very much appreciated.
My question has to do with what Minister Joly announced in June, a lot of millions of dollars for the tourism industry, mostly in the Atlantic Canada and Quebec. We were talking about 30 million in Quebec and 13.5 million for small businesses in the tourism industry. Of course, summer was good, but we have to prepare for summer next year. And since we know that that's during that season that most of the profits are made for this industry, do you think this salary grants program is sufficient? What other measures do you think should be put forward to help those businesses?
Merci pour la question.
Thank you for the question.
Certainly, there have been a wide variety of programs that have been very beneficial to the tourism industry, everything from the emergency wage subsidy that has really allowed many, many businesses across the country to remain open and strive to be profitable. We've seen, of course, the Canadian Emergency Business Account that has been very helpful, credit availability programs, the commercial rent assistance, all of the collection of all of these programs are very much targeted at helping small and medium-sized enterprises, which form the vast bulk of the tourism industry to survive these very lean months. Now, the summer, as you said, had some bright spots, but for most businesses, it was still remained very difficult because the capacity that accommodations and restaurants were able to achieve was severely limited by the need for social distancing. So as we look ahead, we can expect that the next 4 to 5 months will be extremely difficult for our industry, and all of our partners across the country are continuing to develop programs that will ensure a very strong restart, both domestically and internationally, should borders reopen and our health authorities consider it safe to do so. Certainly for Atlantic Canada, there's been a lot of domestic activity, some of which has been strongly supported by federal programs, including Destination Canada. And while I think there's almost nothing that could solve every problem our tourism industry is currently experiencing, this broad range of programs that have come from government in general have been very helpful. I think we are hopeful that we can survive these next few months and get a good start if health conditions permit come early spring.
Merci.
Thank you. Nevertheless, I remain very concerned with the help regarding fixed costs, and I think the next following months will be determined and that will be really important for their survival. What kind of support can Canada give? I'm thinking about the Tourism Alliance of Quebec. They have a huge challenge in terms of human resources. How can they find funding to develop tourism programs in regions? Will you be helping these regional agencies?
Well, you're quite correct in that liquidity remains the #1 challenge that tourism businesses are facing in the coming months. Lack of cash flow is and the need to cover fixed costs is really the driving force behind the current challenges. I know that industry associations like the Hotel Association of Canada and the Tourism Industry Association of Canada have made their views known on how government can best support liquidity for the industry. And I know a number of those are being made available through the Business Development Bank of Canada and other sources. In terms of regional supports, we work extremely closely with the provinces, the provincial destination marketing organizations and territorial ones to ensure that we are putting money in for supporting the domestic marketplace, which is our nearest and best opportunity at the moment to stimulate demand, and that we're putting the funds in the hands where they can best be applied. So in the case of this summer, it was clear that funds needed to be made available at a very hyper-local level because our city DMOs had been devastated by the loss of revenues in the hotel sector from which they derive their funding. And hence, we made sure that funds were flowing into communities and cities in order to support those. Is it
Merci,
enough?
Madame Walden. Si vous me permettez,
Thank you, Madame Walden. First of all, I have a question for Madame Campbell. Congratulations, Madame Campbell, on your appointment as well. You talked about farmers. It's important to explain what's happening in the fields. Do you think the farmers will have availability for this data, and it's important for the insurance programs available to them? Thank you very much for your question. Yes, indeed. We think that there's a lot of potential for satellite data. We're working with Environment Canada and Natural Resources Canada, and I'm looking for other champions because, sorry, Madame Campbell, this is the only time he had left for his questions. Perhaps you could wrap up your answer a bit later. Thank you.
Goes to MP Backrack, who is replacing Mr. Massé. You have the floor for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay? Is my volume all right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm as you mentioned, I'm filling in for my colleague, Mr. Massey, and so unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch the presentations. I'd like to offer my congratulations to both of the appointees. Certainly, the region I represent in Northwest BC, tourism is a very important part of our economy, and it's a spectacularly beautiful part of the world, as I know Ms. Walden is familiar. And I think my question has to do with reconciliation. And, the COVID-19 crisis has, in many ways brought together Indigenous communities and non-Indigenous communities to safeguard our citizens. In other ways, it's created tensions, and we've seen Indigenous nations in Northwest BC announce closures of their territories to protect their communities, and at times that has had impacts on the tourism industry. I'm wondering if Ms. Walden could just speak to how she sees the federal government has been quite silent on these situations. I'm wondering how she sees the role for federal leadership in working through those challenges and helping arrive at scenarios that are beneficial and safe for everyone.
Thank you very much for your question. This has certainly been a topic of great interest as we've seen communities reopen and welcome visitors. And certainly the concerns of Indigenous communities across our nation have been ones that everyone is trying to be extremely sensitive to. And those concerns extend as well to all communities, I would say. I think that it's not unique to our Indigenous communities to want to protect their citizens, to be very concerned about their elders or their elderly. These are concerns that all Canadians share. I will say that in the experience I've seen in British Columbia to date, there have been very, very effective dialogues going on between local tourism stakeholders and local First Nations communities to ensure that the health and safety needs are the first and foremost consideration, and that the timing of reopening community borders and welcoming visitors has been one that has been negotiated in most cases extremely amicably in setting a time frame and conditions that work for everyone. So while those have ebbed and flowed a little as health conditions have changed in various parts of our country, I think that as an industry, we've been very successful in making sure that the health and safety needs of communities are first and foremost. I will say along the way, because we have a strong partnership at the federal level with Indigenous Tourism Association of Canada and at the provincial level with other associations, they too have been extremely helpful in guiding those discussions and ensuring that the needs of everyone have been met.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, with that, we'll go to the second round. I know we are a little bit delayed because of technical difficulties, but I want to make sure people have a chance to ask their questions. So we'll start with MP Cumming. You have the floor for 5 minutes.
Great, thank you, and congratulations to both of you on your appointments. I'm going to start with Ms. Walden. Can you follow up or confirm that have you requested additional funding given what's happened in this industry? And do you support TIAC's request for an incentive program for the industry?
We're in constant discussion with our ministry about the needs of our industry, and currently we are in the throes of developing our corporate plans and our budget needs for the future. And since those are still within government for consideration, there's not much that I'd be able to share at this time.
And I want to shift to Ms. Campbell, and once again, congratulations on your appointment. I read through the departmental plan, and under your leadership, a new leadership for this department, it struck me that there's, in the departmental plan, there's lots of discussion around dollars and people, but not a lot related to direct outcomes as a result of the spending within the department, other than potentially the value of exports in the Canadian sector. Will there be a drive under your leadership to try and create more outcome-based analysis for the departmental plan?
Thank you very much. Indeed, we know that we need to communicate more with Canadians why invest in space, particularly now when, quite frankly, the world is seized by the pandemic. But we know that it, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, it advances science in all its aspects, and it also has direct, immediate benefits here at home. In healthcare, for example, exploring space and sending astronauts to the International Space Station and soon the moon helps advance medical science. Space is hard on our bodies, and it actually accelerates the aging process. By studying how astronauts adapt, we've learned a lot about zero gravity, cardiovascular issues, aging, osteoporosis, the psychological effects of isolation and living in confinement, and many benefits have flowed to Canada, particularly given our vast territory and people living in the north and in more remote environments. So we've developed technologies that are used in medical centers right now. For instance, robotic arms for neurosurgery, breast cancer detection, astronomy cameras that can detect cancer cells. And we are really trying to push. We've got a Deep Space Health Advisory Council who are helping push how we can deliver healthcare services in isolated communities that can be improved upon through lessons we learned in space. We learn a lot about emergency management security. Satellites, as I mentioned earlier, are used to detect and manage critical events, including events such as flood, forest fires, and surveillance of oil spills from vessels. We own and operate satellites that measure the impact of climate change, monitor our environment, and help us manage food distribution and crop management. The systems that would be essential to sustain human presence in space for food production can also be used
Thank you.
in our
Thank
remote
you.
communities.
We've got limited time, so I'd like to
Thank
be
you.
able, I want to squeeze in some more questions for, I'll turn the floor to Mr. Nader.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Campbell, for being with us. What I'm noticing, unfortunately, seems to be a bit of a disconnect between the 2019 space strategy and then the departmental plan for the Canadian Space Agency. Certainly, in the one of the objectives of the space strategy is connecting Canadians everywhere, and I think from rural communities, rural broadband is a major issue, but no mention of that in the departmental plan. So curious as that, but as well, you'd mentioned just very briefly, nutritious food, access to nutritious food, and certainly groups like the University of Guelph are doing exceptional work in terms of harsh environments and different environments there. But yet that's not mentioned in the departmental plan. And so often, if we're not measuring something, if we're not making something a priority, we're not going to be achieving the results. And that's I'm curious as to why things like connecting Canadians through rural broadband, growing nutritious foods, which is something Canadians have great expertise in, why that's not included in the departmental plan.
Thank you very much for the question. So our core mandate and mission is the peaceful use and exploration of space. On connectivity, it really is ICED who is the lead on that. And so we are promoting, as I said earlier, greater use, collection, generation of space data, because we know that not just for Canada, but globally, it really is something that increasingly is a core part of so many services: climate management, agriculture, food production, as I mentioned. And we are hearing from industry. We just did an industry day on space-based Earth observation and heard from the space sector that they want more access to data, both in Canada to help them innovate, but also globally so that they can sell their wares. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to MP Erskine Smith. You have the floor for 5 minutes, and a quick reminder, when you see the flags, 30 seconds, time's up. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. First, congratulations to both of you on your appointments. I certainly agree with my Conservative colleague. We need rapid testing for our economies to reopen more safely. But on August 10th, Charlotte Bell, from the president of the Tourism Industry Association of Canada, came before us and said, because of the pandemic, the tourism sector was first hit, hardest hit, and will be the last to recover. And the hand waving to suggest that somehow it is the fault of government rather than the pandemic is frustrating to me at times, especially when you see the first recommendation on August 10th that Ms. Bell gave to us was to extend the wage subsidy until next summer, which is exactly what this government has done. Another recommendation was, for now, we need incentives for Canadians to visit their own country. And Ms. Walden, when you look to your own approach at Destinations Canada to encourage Canadians to travel domestically, how can we support those activities?
Well, thank you very much for the question. Certainly, as Canadians, we all have the opportunity to demonstrate by our own behaviors that travel can be done safely. And in each part of the country, the health advisories are a little bit different, and so we take the opportunities where we can. But very much, we have an opportunity domestically to rekindle and restart our tourism economy. And when one considers that almost $40 billion a year is spent by Canadians, what we call in outbound travel, so they're taking their monies and spending it in other parts of the world, that alone could be a significant impetus to regaining lost ground here at home. We do anticipate that domestic travel is our nearest and best opportunity. And so we're working with all of our key partners at the provincial and territorial levels and at the city level to make sure that we're stimulating travel within Canada first.
Thanks, Ms. Walden. I apologize, I'm short on time, and I'm going to share my time with Ms. Lambropoulos after I ask one question of Ms. Campbell, which is I hear my Conservative colleagues ask about commercial opportunities and what about non-space related benefits, and what about non-space related benefits, whether it's in broadband or more. And you did note in your comments in the Artemis Accords, you mentioned commercial space activities. There's a press release from October 29th, and I was unclear about this, but the press release in relation to $3.3 million in funding from the Canadian Space Agency, and the press release said these innovative technologies will enable new commercial opportunities and position the Canadian space industry for the future economy created by moon exploration. And I wonder if you could explain to us your priorities as it relates to commercial activities versus the core mandate of space exploration and the lunar mission specifically for 2024.
Thank you very much. It's a great question. I think you might be referring to the Lunar Explorator Accelerator Program. It's $150 million over 5 years, which is happening in conjunction with our involvement on the Gateway. And it really is the way we operate, because so much of what we do is at the cutting edge of science and technology. We know we need to support firms. Much of the space sector is small and medium-sized enterprises, very innovative, and they need our help at the beginning so that they can become that robust supply chain that is then beckoning Canadian primes and primes from around the world. If you look at our contract for Canadarm with MDA, part of it is the industrial technological benefit policy being applied to ensure that much of the work happens here in Canada. With RadarSat Constellation mission, 125 companies from 7 provinces are part of that. So we really try and make sure that we are investing constantly in both the research and the cutting edge science so that it's ready when these opportunities come along. Thank you.
So I'm just going to ask a quick question. And first of all, congratulations to both Ms. Campbell and Ms. Walden on your appointments. I also went through the State of the Industry report and saw that, obviously new, based on evolving treatments and on vaccines, things will improve. I do believe that the only way that the economy will completely restore itself is once we have a vaccine and enough people have taken the vaccine. And I think that that's the consensus across the board. And I was just wondering, Ms. Walden, if you would work with industries, or at least encourage industries to try to get people to take the vaccine or to make it mandatory in certain sectors, because the people that I've spoken to have all know that we need to get the vaccine and that most people need to take it, but most of them wouldn't do it themselves. So I'm just wondering what your take is on this.
Very quickly.
I think the most critical thing is that we restore confidence in travel. People need to feel safe in order to continue to travel, to get on airplanes, to stay in hotels. So that would be our primary concern.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, that's all your time. Le prochain tour, c'est député.
We're now moving to Mr. Lemire. You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you. 2.5 minutes is not a lot of time. I'd just like to come back to Ms. Campbell. I'd like to ask her if she wants to add something about farmers. I was afraid that I wouldn't have the time, but now I do. And I'd also like to hear about the link with Canadian and Quebec industries. You talked about university research and contribution to GDP. What does that bring? And is there a policy for procurement? Thank you. With respect to agriculture, I'll give you an example. Farmers Edge is a company in Winnipeg. They take satellite data, combine it with data that we have on Earth, and that way they can make progress with agriculture. They have less effort to make and need fewer products like water and fertilizer in order to do their work. So these are data that Agriculture Canada uses, and it allows the company to be more efficient. With respect to Quebec companies, yes, I mentioned the industrial benefits policy, and we are making efforts in every procurement and in our innovation fund to support small and medium Canadian companies. As you may know, we are located in St. Hubert, Quebec. That's where 90% of our employees are located, including myself. I've just moved from PEI to Saint-Bruno, and it's really wonderful to see companies who have expertise in artificial intelligence who are benefiting directly from what we do. We see it daily. This week, I was in a conversation with a company that told me that they've seen a 100% level of growth. They have clients everywhere in the world, and they're located here in Quebec. We're very proud of that. You mentioned that the third version of Canadarm is being built right now. I'm curious, of course, about this. What can we expect? Can you give us anything there? We are using our great expertise in robotics. I don't know if you've seen the Gateway. Gateway is going to be 400,000 kilometers from Earth. There are going to be astronauts there for 30-day periods, but oftentimes there will be nobody staffing the station, and the Canadarm will be able to do repairs and support the Gateway without any humans being present. And that's thanks to our expertise that was developed. So we're seeing a return on these investments, and it's a great sign of confidence from our international partners. Thank you so much.
Round will go to MP Backrack. You have the floor for 2.5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My question is for Ms. Campbell, and again, my congratulations. I'm very curious about two things related to satellites. One is the low Earth orbiting satellites and their potential for delivering rural broadband in regions such as the one I represent. And I think that's probably the main one. The other concern related to satellites is that there's currently a communication satellite managed by Telesat that delivers internet to Northwest British Columbia and other rural parts of Canada. And that service is being discontinued at the end of December. I'm just wondering if she could comment on both of those and how we best utilize satellite programs to deliver rural broadband service.
Again, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier, which is that our core mandate is space exploration. Low Earth orbit and satellites is obviously an area that we're very interested in for the data that it generates. Connectivity is one of the important benefits. Telesat is a commercial community, and they are very active in this space, as you know. Connectivity for Canadians is obviously something that we know is important. We're seeing this through our work, and the pandemic, unfortunately, has highlighted some of those issues. We've seen it even here today. So thank you very much for your question. We are very interested in growing the potential uses of satellite data, as I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, and I'll pass it back to Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And we will go to MP Nader. You have the floor for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, thank you again to our witnesses. And I want to actually follow up again. I recognize, what Mr. Bacharach was just talking about, the points I raised earlier, and I recognize that that may not be part of the core competencies of the Canadian Space Agencies, but obviously, satellites are clearly a point of interest for the Canadian Space Agency, and I'd be curious in your opinion in terms of where Canada is in relation to the world. Certainly we hear large government investments in Telesat, for example, but then if we look south of the border, SpaceX seems to be eating everyone else's lunch. They're ready to flip a switch and serve massive swaths of Canada with high-speed internet tomorrow, whereas other domestic Canadian companies are not quite there yet. So I'm curious in terms of your opinion on where Canada is at as an industry in terms of competing on the world stage and whether or not we're lagging behind.
We need to create a favorable regulatory framework. It needs to be a good place to do business for space companies and favorable to Canadian companies. We happen to think that the current framework is a bit dated. It needs to be easier for people to access high quality data so that they can use it. And people often ask us, why do you still need to invest in building and owning satellites? Our current RCM constellation is good until 2026, after which we want to think about what is the next option. We've let contracts to companies to help us with that. And so they're brainstorming now and will come to us with proposals. But we know that this is an area where there is need for both government presence, because a lot of this data has public use, and many countries are seeing massive return on investments from opening up the data, making it available to business, and then seeing lots of downstream benefits. It's also true, though, as you point out, that commercial companies are entering this space and creating a lot of data that they then sell and commercialize. But what we're seeing around the world is that it's both happening at the same time because they have different end uses. So we want Canada to be well positioned to take part in what is really a new space economy. My colleague, Ms. Preville, has called data the new workhorse of space. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I think I would probably agree that we do need updated regulatory structure in place to deal with that. Because I do think that we're actually blocking SpaceX, for example, right now from coming into the Canadian marketplace, which would benefit. Now, no doubt, I think everyone on this call would agree. We all prefer to see Canadian companies taking the lead on that. But when you have an American company who's able to deliver the product that's needed by so many million Canadians, the fact that our regulatory environment is actually blocking that, I think it's unfortunate. That's not a question, more so of a comment. But I do want to go on to a question. Obviously the Lunar Gateway project is a major priority for the agency. 20 or 2.05 billion over, I believe it's 24 years. Obviously a massive investment and obviously a priority for the space agency. But like anything, when you focus on one thing, other priorities obviously are less focused on, shall we say? And again, I want to go back to the growing growing good nutritious food. How much of an impact, or the investment on that, how much is that forcing us to have a lesser investment on growing conditions in harsh climates? That's somewhere where I think Canada has a great deal of expertise, but seems to be we're lagging in terms of focusing on that side of things while focusing on robotics and the development of the astronaut program. Just want to get your thoughts on whether or not we're not, I don't want to say neglecting, but placing less of a priority on those issues while focusing on robotics and the lunar mission.
Thank you. Actually, data is one of our priorities. We are making sure to unlock the economic potential that satellite data offers, both in areas that we traditionally think of it, but in many, many other areas. I mean, there's probably applications we haven't even conceived of yet, but once we unlock the data and make it available to companies, they'll come back with solutions for us. We do need to prioritize, though, and build on our strengths. And we know that for us in Canada, it is robotics. It's artificial intelligence. It's our expertise in healthcare. And we bring huge value to the table with our international partners, which is why they keep asking us back. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Chair. I saw you wave the 30-second banner at me, which means that I really can't get into my next line of questioning other than to thank our witnesses and relay the fact that there's a 4-year-old future astronaut at home who's quite interested in the work you're doing. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nader. And our last round of questions will go to MP Jacek. You have the floor for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I'll be sharing my time with MP Johari. Congratulations to both appointees. My question is for Ms. Walden. I have to confess I'd never heard of the Canadian Tourism Commission or Destination Canada before today's meeting. You have a long history, obviously, with Destination British Columbia, and I'm sure in that role that you did engage in trying to attract international tourism, obviously, to beautiful British Columbia. So my question is a very basic one. What value add does actually Destination Canada add to, what sort of value does it add to individual provincial efforts, individual municipal efforts that I think we're all very familiar with? And in your new role, apart from your difficulties, obviously, with COVID, do you see any other areas that Destination Canada could engage in to assist local efforts?
Thank you so much for the question. The tourism ecosystem is a very complex one of different partnerships across our nation and really across the world. And so when I was with Destination British Columbia and one of the provincial partners in Team Canada, we very much worked with Destination Canada and our provincial and territorial counterparts to ensure that where we had overlaps, they were productive overlaps. And we are the primary we are the leading entity for international marketing. We work with our partners to ensure that specific interests of our provincial and territorial demand stimulation programs are represented. Traditionally, those partners would invest in programs that we take internationally, where we have key account relationships in key markets around the world. And those have proven to be extremely beneficial for Canada as a whole, but also for individual regions within Canada. In terms of where we see our future role, one of the key elements of being competitive as a destination within a world where growth was very much part of our future was to ensure that we had product on the ground that remained competitive, that remained innovative, that was responding to the changing needs of travelers every day. And that's where we see a more important strategic role for Destination Canada going forward, taking the demand side information and market intelligence that we have and helping industry understand where the private and public sector can come together to make our product more competitive on the ground. So that will be a new area for us that we see as critical to our competitiveness as a nation.
So over to MP Johari.
Thank you to my colleagues, and once again, congratulations to both of you. My question goes to Madam Campbell. Madam Campbell, in the last parliamentary session, this committee heard testimonies from foreign on how foreign investment can undermine our national security and reduce innovation. As a lawyer who's established a name in both defense procurement as well as merger evaluation, and you highlighted the fact that data was part of your portfolio as well. Do you think Canada's legislative framework and its administration provide sufficient protection against foreign investment? Thank you.
That's a big question. So speaking in my current capacity as president of the Canadian Space Agency, I will say that we view data as inherent to sovereignty. It is part of our security, understanding our vast territory, being the owners of, and being able to wield the data about our territory helps us support people wherever they are, from coast to coast to coast. We also know that having a presence with our allies in space is important. We promote the peaceful use and exploration of space. And so we know that not every country views it that way, but that's why we're signing up to things like the Artemis Accords, which in our view are consistent with international law in this area, and we will continue to work. Canada has a very special place in the world, and we have credibility, which we need to maintain. So we work hard to keep an international presence for the benefit of Canadians, but also the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. And with that, our time for this part of the meeting has come to an end. I'd like to thank our witnesses for being here today and welcome Ms. Campbell to the South Shore of Montreal, where I'm from. So I'm looking forward to a visit at CSA. But with that, I'd like to thank everyone who is here today. And we're going to suspend while we get prepared to move into this next session of the meeting. With that, I call this meeting suspended. Thank you.